Welcome to Raw Politics. Now, amid dire quotes like darkest hour and talk of a turning point, the stakes are certainly set for a gathering of European leaders tomorrow. And at the top of their agenda, it's Brexit. And today, the preparations are in full swing. Chief EU Brexit negotiator Michel Barnier, he's briefing ministers on the state of negotiations tonight. Well, our political editor, Darren McCaffrey, has been working on this story today. Darren, tell us what you've been working on.
Well, as you say, Tessa, we are coming into the final stages, the final lap, as the European Union put it today, of these Brexit negotiations. And we're getting to the crucial stage where I think people are going to have to compromise. And that means compromise from the British side, but also from the European Union side too. We also learned today that there is almost certainly now going to be a final, we think, Brexit summit in November, where there is hope that a deal can be done. But can one be done? Well, I spoke, as you said, to Guy Verhofstadt, the Brexit coordinator for the European Parliament, a little earlier on. Let's have a look at the interview. First of all, I want to start with Brexit, probably unsurprisingly. We heard today from an advisory group in the UK that preferences for EU nationals should come to an end after Brexit. The British government said they'll look at it. The Labour Party have welcomed it. It's what people seemingly voted for. I assume in that case, the European Union would then end its preference for British people.
I don't think it's a good start for negotiations already to be on such a position. I think that we need the closest partnership as possible between the EU and UK after the withdrawal, and that means also a good system for UK nationals living on the continent and for EU nationals living in Britain. So that will be part of the future relationship, and it's far too early to say already how it will work. But it will be part of the discussions and the negotiations on the future relationship.
But if Britain does end its preference for EU workers, Europe will have to do the same for British workers.
Yeah, but I don't think that will be the outcome of this whole negotiation. So first of all, we need to conclude the withdrawal agreement, we need to fix finally the transition period, and we need to have a clear view on the future relationship. And let's be honest, that's the problem for the moment. We are stuck in these negotiations, and we think that a close relationship is possible, and in such a close relationship there will be a special treatment in any way for UK nationals living on the continent, EU nationals living in Britain. So the assumption that you're making is that there is no deal or there is no good outcome of these negotiations. And I'm an optimist by nature, so I still believe that it is possible to have a positive outcome of these negotiations.
Talking about the deal and the future relationship and the withdrawal agreement, Theresa May has said it is, for her politically, Chequers or nothing. Do you think EU leaders will accept Chequers?
Well, no, Chequers is positive in a number of areas. Let's first say that. It's, for example, positive that Chequers is proposing an association agreement. That's the position of the European Parliament, that an association agreement is the best basis to establish this new relationship. Secondly, it's positive on external security, it's positive on the cooperation on internal security, it's positive on a number of thematic cooperations. The problem with Chequers for the European Union is in the economic and trade part, where Chequers is proposing a facilitated customs arrangement with two different tariffs and where we should outsource our custom duties, and that will never happen. The European Union is a full-fledged customs union, and we cannot accept differentiation in tariffs, or we cannot accept to outsource our duties.
So it makes it sound that
that's one. I have still a second. If you want to know more about that, the second is the custom is the common rule book. Common rule book means that in fact when we make rules on services, on special activities, on an import and export of goods, we can do that as a single market. We do that now as a single market with 28. In the future, we do that with 27, and then have a separate negotiation on this with Britain, and that is not possible.
But isn't the political reality, though? Theresa May has said it has to be this or nothing. You're saying, and the EU seem to be saying, we cannot accept Chequers.
We cannot accept these two concepts that are in Chequers.
Who compromises? You're going to have to compromise. Theresa May says like, this is it. This is my deal. I cannot move on this. Politically, in Britain, she's in a corner. You're going to have to compromise.
Well, it's always possible to make compromises. And I think, I live in Belgium, that's a country that knows very well the art of compromising. But what we will not do is to compromise in a way that we destroy the single market or the European Union. That we will not do. We cannot, for example, compromise in saying, okay, yeah, the customs union doesn't exist anymore in the European Union, and we're going to make a facilitated customs arrangement with different tariffs and outsourcing or customs duties. That is not possible. So even when I want to compromise, it is impossible to compromise on such a thing. But I think it is possible, nevertheless, to find a way out on this.
By November?
By November, yeah, it's possible to find a way out and to see how we can secure the principles of the European Union and also respect the red lines of the UK government. But it will be a little bit different than these two concepts that are in the Chequers plan, I think.
You've been involved in this process for, what, 18 months, 2 years now.
Yeah.
Do you talk to Theresa May much?
Yeah, I was there before the summer break, and I will be there next week.
What's she like to deal with?
No, I have a very good impression of my first meeting with her, and I hope next week my second meeting will be as constructive to find a way out. And so one of the results of this first meeting was also the common understanding that an association agreement is the way forward for the future relationship. So that is positive. Also, what was positive in my first meeting, so these meetings are not are useful, was that for the EU citizens currently living in Britain, that nothing should change, and there was some doubt about this at a certain moment. And after my meeting with Theresa May, the conclusion was no, EU citizens will simply continue to have the same rights and benefits as today.
Are you glad you're dealing with Theresa May rather than someone like Boris Johnson?
Well, I think that a number of leading people in the Conservative Party are very much aware of the fact that a hard Brexit will be devastating, not only for the European Union, but far more for Britain. And these people, I listen to these people, and one of these people is certainly the Prime Minister, Theresa May. She knows very well that this is not an option. And so we are working towards a deal, an agreement, but it has to be an agreement that doesn't destroy the principles and the system of the European Union. Certainly not, because since Brexit, what we have seen on the continent is a growing support from different public opinions in favor of the European Union, in favor of the single market, in favor of our single currency. And why this is? Because people are seeing what is happening in Britain. They say, okay, I'm also very critical towards the European Union, but I'm not so stupid to leave the Union or to
So
try to break
Brexit's
it.
been good for the EU?
Well, in a certain way, it helps now people to understand what the benefits are from the European Union. And that is more clear for a lot of people since Brexit, yeah.
And just very finally, on a completely different topic, En Marche and this apparent alliance. What happened? It seemed to be on last week. Is it still on? Are you going to
we are simply working on it, and a new movement around the call of Emmanuel Macron to reform Europe as an alternative for nationalists and populists, based on his very important speech that he has given last year before the Sorbonne in Paris. That is what Europe desperately needs, and my group, the ALDE, is ready to cooperate.
So we're going to see a deal, do you reckon? An alliance?
No, we don't call it an alliance. There are already alliances enough. A new movement, a reformist movement, as an alternative for nationalists and populists. That is what we need.